In today's program, officials on the lookout for the Omicron COVID variant. Thailand relaxes its testing and quarantine requirements for foreign arrivals, and an expat gets deported for criticizing the government. Details on these stories and many more coming right up.
Choose your trip to your favorite island with 5-Star Marine. Go to 5starmarinephuket.com.
You're watching Thailand News Today, bringing you the latest headlines in Thailand and beyond. So be sure to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on the news. And now, entering Thailand will get a little easier and a bit cheaper as the CCSA has approved the use of rapid antigen test kits to screen international arrivals for COVID starting December the 16th. The ATK method will replace the RT-PCR test, meaning travelers won't need to wait long before they are allowed to travel throughout Thailand. The measure will apply to travelers entering under the Quarantine Exemption Scheme and the Sandbox Scheme. While the RT-PCR test is said to be more accurate, the results come back much slower, and travelers entering the country have been required to book a night at an approved hotel while they wait for the results to come back. Travelers can wait between 6 hours to a day. The results from the antigen test can come back in 15 minutes. The deputy spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Natapanu Nopakun, who gives the CCSA briefing in English, said travelers will need to take the antigen test at a hotel, but they won't need to book the actual hotel room. The CCSA also approved to shorten the stay under the Sandbox scheme to 5 days. Under the scheme, vaccinated travelers are allowed to roam freely in an approved district for the province instead of undergoing quarantine at a hotel. Officials also agreed to add Kanchanaburi, Nonthaburi, and Pathum Thani to the list of blue zones, which are approved to reopen under the Sandbox scheme. Thailand's Department of Disease Control assures that the Omicron COVID-19 variant is not coming into the country through tourists. Director General Opat Karngawinpong said that all Sandbox visitors are being closely and stringently monitored by health authorities, while all 1,007 travelers from South Africa who recently arrived in Thailand tested negative. Thai authorities are now setting restrictions to prevent the strain spreading in Thailand, and the issuance of the Thailand Pass has been suspended for 8 countries in southern Africa. According to a deputy government spokesperson, the Department of Medical Sciences has uncovered no evidence of a single incidence of the variant in Thailand, adding that all private hospitals are now required to submit specimens from all patients who test positive for COVID to be genetically analyzed in order to identify each patient's strain and prevalence. The Ramathibodi Hospital Center for Medical Genomics is working on a test kit to accurately detect the Omicron mutant using mass array technology, which should be finished in approximately 2 weeks. The novel mutation virus Omicron was first discovered in South Africa and has since been found in Australia, the United Kingdom, Germany, Israel, Italy, and Hong Kong last week. One of Thailand's long-term French expats, Jan Marshall, has been denied re-entry to Thailand. He says he was expelled to Paris from Bangkok for being a long-term critic of the Thai government and monarchy. Jan made a post on Facebook saying that the powers in place do not like what he posts on social media and that he may be the first known case of deportation from Thailand without any conviction or visa overstay. Jan lived in Thailand for around 2 decades. When it comes to blacklist status, he says he will petition the immigration office to obtain the file they have on him and get it removed, but added that it is going to be a long process. Jan told reporters that immigration police claim that he is, quote, a threat to national security for his criticism of the monarchy. A year ago, Jan almost got kicked out of the country for posts he made on Facebook. Many of Jan's recent Facebook posts are commentary relating to the Thai monarchy and Thailand's recent protests. On a visit to Thai immigration last November, Yan said he visited immigration to transfer his stamp into a new passport, but was told that his visa has been revoked and was now on overstay. He said the immigration official said the reason was because of his Facebook activity, and the official had a large file with a detailed report on his posts.
Isn't it time for you to come back to the islands? Phuket is open and it's never looked better. Choose your trip to your favourite island with 5-Star Marine. Go to 5starmarinephuket.com.
Police in Bangkok are warning restaurant owners that if alcohol is served after 9 p.m., they will face legal action, possibly even up to a year in jail and a fine of up to 100,000 baht. Restaurants in the capital are allowed to serve beer, wine, and cocktails only up until 9 p.m. because COVID wakes up from 9:01 p.m. onwards. However, the hours on alcohol sale might be extended on Christmas and New Year's since COVID might be on holiday on those specific days. Thai authorities are now considering pushing the hours to 11 p.m. or midnight. The proposal will be reviewed today during a meeting with government agencies and tourism associations and will be tossed to the COVID-19 Situation Administration Center for further review. Since November the 1st, restaurants and eateries in Bangkok, Krabi, Phang Nga, and Phuket have been allowed to offer alcoholic beverages until 9 p.m., but it has not been satisfying at all for businesses. The executive secretary of the Thai Alcohol Beverage Business Association, Thanakorn Kupachit, has proposed that starting December the 1st, 27 more provinces should be given a 2-week trial on selling alcohol for the government to assess if further loosening of COVID restrictions is realistic in light of the current situation. He was quoted saying, "We are not dying of COVID, but rather of a stagnant economy. We'd like the CCSA to relax the restrictions even more as a New Year's gift to the workers." He added that no monetary compensation for lost wages will be as appealing to people as the promise of returning to work. And in regional news, Singapore and Malaysia are reopening their shared land border today, marking another move towards return to normal. The border was one of the busiest in the world pre-pandemic times, with vaccinated travelers now being allowed to cross as of today. The border has been closed since March of 2020, leaving tens of thousands of people stranded on either side. Families were separated and jobs were lost, as around 300,000 Malaysians commuted daily to Singapore before the pandemic. The reopening will allow 1,440 travelers from each side per day to cross the border, but they must meet certain requirements to skirt quarantine. They must be a citizen of either country, have permanent residency, or have a long-term visa in the country in which they are crossing into. They must show proof of a negative COVID-19 test before departing, and both countries require travelers to also pass a COVID test on arrival. Besides the land travel border opening, a vaccinated air travel lane has also started today. Singapore has reportedly vaccinated 85% of its population, while Malaysia has inoculated around 80%. On Sunday, Singapore reported 747 locally acquired COVID infections, which marks the lowest daily amount since mid-September. Malaysia also reported its lowest amount of daily infections since early November at 4,239 on Sunday. And that wraps up our report for today. Thailand News Today will be back tomorrow. Meanwhile, stay tuned for Thailand Top Stories with Tim Newton for tomorrow's top headlines.